raises monetary policy rate to 22.75 from 18.75%. And later on the show, Peter Obi applauds implementation of Oronsaye report as human resource expert calls for setting up of implementation technical committee for the report. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Tunde Abaton. Journalist Hangout starts now. Now, the menace of hard drugs is a pandemic that has taken a toll on the future of many young Nigerians. Hence, a renewed war against it is essential. Officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency intercepted what the agency described as the single largest seized heroin consignment at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. The NDLEA personnel also arrested some members of the criminal gang involved in trafficking heroin across Nigeria, South Africa, Mozambique, Europe, and America. The consignment seized during the operation weighed 51.90 kilograms. And addressing newsmen in Lagos, the NDLEA chairman, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, said the first interception of 49.70 kilograms was made at the Lagos airport. Well, let's share the story by senior correspondent Ivy Kanu.
He doesn't brief often in Lagos, but this feat calls for his presence. On January the 10th, 2024, his men intercepted a suspicious package at the Sakor import shed of the airport's cargo terminal.
In total, we recovered 45 blocks of the illicit substance with a total weight of 49.70 kilograms.
Little did they know that they were going to uncover a syndicate that has its tentacles spread across different countries and also connection with the Ikorodu seizure.
We started with the arrest of the freight agent, whose name is Wasiu Babatunde. The receiver, whose name is Felix Chinedu. Thorough search of the warehouse, which led to the recovery of 56 similar cartons. We were done exploring various leads we had unraveled an organized criminal network that operates in South Africa, Mozambique, Nigeria, parts of Europe, and America.
Their searchlight also led the operatives to a female said to be a wife to the kingpin.
She is Confidence Ndidiamaka, who is one of those earmarked to collect part of the consignment. A further search was conducted in their residence located at the Agopalas area, Festac town. Several documents, including bank and property documents belonging to Festus Ibewike.
Bank accounts, property and others belonging to the members of the syndicate have also been tracked.
A total of 107 bank accounts associated with 14 members have all been placed on PND status. In addition, the hotel and the mansion linked to the head of the syndicate in Nigeria, Reginald Peter Chidebere, and located in Agopalas area have already been marked for forfeiture to the federal government.
The chairman vowed to ensure they are brought to book. At the end of the operation, a total of 10 suspects were arrested. Meanwhile, we are told that the agency has contacted their counterparts in South Africa to help track down the kingpin who resides in Mozambique. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.
That's a report by our correspondent Ivy Kano. BKO, this large find by the NDLEA can be a little bit worrisome. But what do you make of this, find, and what do you think is fueling the desire for this illicit trade to thrive?
It's a very simple question to answer. Any business with a huge profit margin, people will take all kinds of risk to get involved in it. Kidnapping for ransom. When you are successful, when you successfully pull off a big kidnap project, you can earn about 100 million on one person. Which kind of armed robbery would you involve yourself in to make that kind of money? So you can see why it's difficult to stop kidnapping in our country. But they've seen Boko Haram kidnapped train passengers, and they collected 100 million per head. In fact, one of them, a Pakistani, paid 200 million. It's the same way that I look at drug trafficking. A very small portion of cocaine costs a fortune. But we are in a country where such illicit drugs are even containerized. There was a time when money was money, and cocaine valued at 1 billion was seized in our country in a container. That's to tell you how bad things have become. And guys are ready, the addicted will do anything to feed their addiction. You look at them, if they've not taken the drug, it's like they are undergoing serious mental and physical torture. They want to ingest it because their system has become accustomed to ingesting those drugs the same way you are accustomed to breathing in and breathing out. For them, it's their oxygen. And that's why the kind of money, look, if they were to sell this in the open market, it will cost a massive sum of money. And that's why you see the kind of life that drug barons live. Look at the kind of houses that they live in, the mansions. They live for the day. They live believing that, well, if death comes, it comes. But when they are alive, they live like kings. They build palaces all over the place because the money they make from this illicit trade is hefty. It's not, whether it is opium or cocaine or heroin, these illicit drugs are very expensive. It's not for everybody. So you can see what the NDLA under Buba Marwa has achieved is a thing of pride to me as a Nigerian. And I'm extremely proud of Marwa and his team because I've seen clearly that if we can sustain this war, drug addiction, drug use will be reduced to the barest minimum in our country. I'm not going to say we'll be defeated. I'll be lying if I said so. He will try his best, but you can see that we are making real progress. In terms of even helping some of these boys to, in terms of rehabilitating some of these guys and getting them to give up their addiction. The NDLA is doing a lot of work that people do not even know about. They don't just seize these drugs, they also do a lot of counseling. They also help parents. General Marwa told me about a parent that cannot sleep until his son is already snoring because he knows that if he goes to bed with that boy still on his feet, anything can happen. He can barge into his father's room and take his life. All of the big crimes in our country, whether it's Boko Haram brand of terrorism, they are fueled by drug addiction. And that's why we must defeat drug addiction. We must defeat these people trying to turn Nigeria to a nation where
a drug haven.
Yes, drug use, illicit drug use is preeminent.
So, Tunde, taking a cue from what BQ has said now, how can we successfully defeat this illicit drugs, which is more like thriving? Already, we know the NDLEA made this, single find in its well in its different investigations so far. But how do you think we can successfully handle this, ensure that this war is won?
Well, I think from what Jide said, Brigadier Buba Marwa deserved a national award for what he has been doing for the past 3 years. For any seizure like this that is made, he has succeeded in saving millions of lives of youths that are wasting away because of the impact of the drugs they are taking. For every seizure made like this, he has succeeded in reducing the free flow of money in our society. And that is why an average Nigerian should be concerned that the NDLA must continue to record sources so that we can reduce the free flow of money, because the drug too contribute to the destruction of our value system. When a young man who has just left the university should meet any of his classmates in the secondary school who is into drug business, he will not be interested, and he already has billions of naira. He will not be interested in pursuing his education. But for every success he has made, that I said, it's a war against illicit flow of funds in Nigeria. And when there's cheap flow of funds in Nigeria, you have crimes and the other associated elements. They even plow their money into politics. For you, or what you know. So what we can do is that, apart from the government empowering the NDLA under Brigadier Marwa more to do more by having investigation in all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria, in all local government, because people are making a mistake that it is only the affluent that are taking these drugs. Our young people in the ghettos, in the rural areas, they are also into drug taking. People that you can never expect. We are gradually destroying the life of our youths. And except we make a conscious effort, an average Nigerian make conscious effort by reporting all these activities to the NDLA, we may not win the war. Because if there is no demand for this drug, these people will not be so desperate to smuggle it into Nigeria and make money out of it. And for every billionaire that you make out of drug, you have succeeded in destroying the lives of thousands and thousands of young school leavers who can be of help to Nigeria.
Don't you think sensitization campaigns can help, help?
Well, I think, you see, I keep on saying that without necessarily passing judgment on the so-called social national orientation agency, I don't really know what they are doing. Because in those days when we have MAMSA, they are actually trying to put us on the back of our societal values. So the national orientation agency can help the NDLA in mobilizing and enlightening people about the dangers of drugs. Because like he said, the moment you are into drug taking, the thing will seize the larger part of your life. So the general public has to be interested in what their children are doing. When your children return from school, if you see any strange bag, examine their bag, look at their bag. When you see them with a bottle of Coke in the afternoon, parading it along the street, you know that there's drug inside. Ask them questions. If your children suddenly develop a kind of attitude that is strange, begin to ask them questions and put them under surveillance. Because it is by so doing that we can curb this thing. Like I said, if there's no demand for this drug, these people will not go to this extent.
They won't be in business.
In business of smuggling it into Nigeria and making money out of it. And like I said, every other billionaire that you produce from drug, you have succeeded in destroying the life of thousands and thousands of Nigerian youth. So every Nigerian should be concerned, should support the NDLA in nibbling this thing and reducing it to the barest minimum possible.
Let's quickly move on to our next discussion, where as the country continues to battle inflation, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is taking more proactive steps to normalize the situation. The Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN has decided to tighten monetary policy by raising the monetary policy rate to 22.75% from 18.75%. And with the inflation rate at 29.90%, the 12-member committee said the new MPR is part of moves to tackle rising costs of living. Well, the CBN governor, Yemi Cardoso, who chairs the MPC, also said the cash reserve ratio has been raised to 45%, while the liquidity ratio was left unchanged at 30%. Well, let's share the story by our correspondent, Ademola Lawrence.
According to CBN data, this is the highest MPC rate ever and is aimed at mopping up excess naira liquidity. Olayemi Cardoso, governor of the CBN, who chaired the Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the first time since he assumed office in September 2023. The governor of the central bank talked about a clampdown on crypto exchange, including Binance. He said over $26 billion has passed through Binance Nigeria in the last 4 years.
In the case of Binance, in the last 1 year alone, $26 billion has passed through Binance Nigeria from sources and users who we cannot adequately identify.
The governor says the CBN will ensure that the economy is highly liquid and money will only get to genuine players in the economy.
The committee decided to further tighten monetary policy as follows. 1, raise the MPR by 400 basis points to 22.75 from 18.75%. As the central bank is concerned, we are moving to a very aggressive regulatory environment. We are moving to a very aggressive regulatory environment where those policies have been coming out, as you can see, and tolerance for people not to abide by the regulations that are coming out and to comply is zero. People will have to abide by those regulations, and those that do not will face the consequences for not doing so.
Mr. Cardoso also revealed that $400 million was paid to settle some outstanding foreign exchange commitments.
About $400 million that have to those that have been so identified. And we are committed to continue to do so in one form or the other to those that are genuinely identified and proven cases.
Mr. Cardoso says for the CBN, collaborating with the EFCC is very important, and they are also determined to do everything in their power to stop manipulation in the market. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Abuja.
Now joining us for more discussion on this issue is an economist, Nemeka Ombiari. Well, before we get to that discussion, let's quickly have our, get our perspective from our guests in the studio. BKO, first off, what's your take on this matter? Because we understand that it's going to affect a lot of things, individuals, businesses. What's your take on the outcome of the MPC meeting?
One big takeaway for me from the meeting was the stated resolve of the CBN governor to continue the steps being taken to sanitize the foreign exchange markets. He said something along the line of, we are moving into a very aggressive regulatory environment. Mm-hmm. That is to tell you how determined the CBN governor is to stop some of the infractions, some of the fraud being perpetrated, which they've relied upon to weaken our currency. We talked about Binance Nigeria. I'm sure that by the time Dr. Biareri joins us, he too will be able to say a few things about these guys. What they are determined to do is to push the naira to as much as 3,000 to $1. That's a lot of speculation, so much nonsense going on. People sitting in front of their computers and simply speculating. And individuals who are running BDCs, they simply go and check what these guys have quoted and then determine that, okay, it is that rate that they are going to use to sell as exchange rates. It's terrible what we are doing to our country. We allowed a lot of these infractions to take place. Nobody did anything. There are some friends that we are discussing who said, if some of these steps had been taken by the former CBN governor, we won't be where we are today. Everyone now knows that, look, the fact that they've sent you dollars from America or anywhere does not mean that you should cash it in dollars. Why do you need to cash it in dollars? Is it a legal tender here?
Absolutely.
It's not the medium of exchange in our country. Why is this nonsense going on? Can you do that in South Africa? With a gun to a trader's neck, you will not be able to buy anything with a dollar in South Africa. I double dare anybody to try it because I've tried to do it before in Durban and I didn't succeed, despite all my begging. A country is respected to the extent that its laws are obeyed. Where you have a situation in which impunity reigns, people don't obey the law, people see the regulations and bypass the regulations, you can't have a good country. So these steps being taken to strengthen the Naira must go on.
Right.
And I know that it won't stop. Already, some of the people who are saying all kinds of negative things, some of them on social media, they are reckoning with the fact that the Naira is firming up now. It's firming up. And we still don't
think with these policies is what is causing the firm up of
Of
the
course,
Naira? Don't
of
you
course.
think perhaps it will slip back because this
No,
is
no,
not
no.
the first time that the
No.
Naira firmed and then slipped to where it is right
No,
now.
no, you see, the thing is, we have not addressed the issue of liquidity.
Right.
Liquidity, when liquidity improves, things will certainly get better. And I've told people that the last administration sold crude oil in advance. So where are you even going to get money to improve liquidity? Until those contracts are exhausted, this administration cannot. Why do you think they could not supply Dangote with crude oil? Why? Or you didn't read about it? We can't supply Dangote with crude oil. Dangote had to go and get crude oil from outside our country because we are producing for the people that had bought in advance. So the new administration can't even earn new money from. Can't even earn money from crude oil sales currently. So there are all kinds of problems. I think that if that much money, he was talking about, how much did he say? 26 billion coming in from sources that we can't explain. That's why now, if you want to sell $10,000 to a bureau de change operator, you must disclose the source. It's part of the regulations. We should have been doing this. Why do we need 5,000 bureau de change operators, for example? What are they doing?
There's no need.
Does it not sound odd to you? 5,000 bureau de change operators? Is the dollar a commodity? Is it yam? Is it beans? Simply to trade in it.
Yeah.
Let me stop at this point.
Tunde, your perspective on this?
Well, I think, like I said, I love the choice of words used by our central bank governor, that they're going to aggressively regulate the environment. You see, the problem with Nigeria is that in as much as we have people with genuine intention in policy making, there are a lot of people who are in decision taking or implementation of such policy that does not love Nigeria for anything, because it is not for short of want of ideas or brilliant people that can turn Nigeria around. But there are so many evil people in powerful positions who have been influenced or encouraged over the years to continue destabilizing Nigeria by their decisions because they wanted Nigeria in their own way. So our own resolve is to encourage the central bank governor and the members of the MPL to remain steadfast and sincere in their approach, because sincerity also matters a lot. When you are very sincere, you are ready to remove every obstacle on the way. And the man said 2 weeks ago that they are prepared to return Nigeria back to what it is. So what I think is that, like I said, every Nigerian, I always tell people that no matter the problem we have today, an African Nigerian is part of that problem. Like he said, if a brother sends $500 to me from the US, what do I need dollars to do? To exchange it and give it to the bank so that I can take Naira and use Naira to purchase. But when schools in Nigeria, because it's also part of it, when schools that are domiciled in Nigeria are charging people for dollars, what are they telling people? When universities are charging people for $20,000, what are they telling Nigerians? They are telling us that they have no confidence in the economy of the country in which they are based. and they are systematically destroying the currency of that country, which is the only recognized means of legal tender in that particular country. So I want the central bank to go a step further. All secondary schools, all universities, all polytechnics that are charging dollars, they should be compelled to stop. If you like, you can charge 10 million naira. Ask people to bring naira, not dollars.
Indeed.
I think until we do this thing, we should back up this policy with decisive actions to stop all those things.
All right, let's quickly bring in an economist, Nnameka Obiariri, to give his perspective on this issue. Good to have you on the program this evening. So, first off, break for us in layman terms the outcome of the MPC meeting. What does this mean, and how does this affect rising cost of living in the country today?
Basically, what the CBN did and what Yemi Katoso did is to achieve a little bit of stability in the foreign exchange market. Nigeria is grappling with hydra-headed problems. We have inflation on one hand, we have forex instability on one hand, and we have insecurity across the federation, which is impeding on productivity. Basically, it has two options. One of the drivers of high cost of living in Nigeria is the instability of the forex market. I'll give you an example. And of course, like some of your colleagues listed, there are a lot of sabotage, there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of, Shylock activities within the system. I asked this question. In December 2023, a bag of cement was selling for 5,000 naira. 80% of the raw materials used to produce cement are domesticated. January, February, a bag of cement is selling for 15,000. What are the input costs that drove the price of cement by 200% to the level? And who are the producers of cement? And how did it get to this level? These are the questions we are not asking. And some of them are still part of the advisory committee to the president on how they can bring down the cost of living in Nigeria, which is not properly done, which is very hypocritical. Now, let's look at the numbers. What Yemi Cardoso simply did was, by raising the MPR at 22.75%, with inflation at 29%, what he's trying to do is to encourage foreign portfolio investors. Of course, they are hot money to inflow dollar. Since there are no liquidity in the market, the previous government before this government practically drained the pockets of Nigeria and left huge unpaid bills of about $7 billion. Not just that they emptied the treasury, they left unpaid bills of $7 billion, as Yemi Cardoso made us to understand. Okay. And you even look at what happened over the last 8 years. I am even surprised that this country is still standing. Over $120 billion was lost by way of $22 billion lost every year from crude oil thefts, from inefficiencies, and from losses. Crude oil was 2.3 million barrels a day when Buhari took over. By the time Tinubu took over, it was less than 1 million. That was the dire strait of Nigeria. And of course, most of them have even been sold in advance. 16 trillion naira, $34 billion wasted in subsidies and turnaround maintenance program on the refinery that never worked. Ways and means 23 trillion and accumulated interest of 7 trillion on it, which is about 30 trillion today. Like you rightly, Yemi Cardoso mentioned, 10 trillion naira wasted by way of intervention by the CBN, Humanitarian Affairs Ministry, and every other thing. Yet there was no impact on the real sector of the economy. So Nigeria was practically comatose. Yes, we are seeing results. Like some of your colleagues said, all these things we're talking about, finance, speculation, are actually symptoms of the symptomatic manifestations of the problems that plagued Nigeria over the last 8 years. We are not even addressing the root cause. And the root cause is the illiquidity of the dollar supply. How do we ramp up oil production to the level of at least 2.5 million barrels, 3 million barrels a day? At least, so that we can be able to at least cover up that gap. There's something we are missing here. Naira lost value so much with dollar, not because the level of dollar inflow in Nigeria was less than outflow. In fact, net, if all the dollars in Nigeria were warehoused in Nigeria and not criminally looted out through conduits, we will have had at least net position of $184 billion that will have been inherited by the Tinubu regime. But those monies were frittered away. And I expect while we are lamenting and complaining, Emefiele was not the only one who played a part. There are more than 100 other guys that were part of that team, both at the executive level. We need to start asking questions. Obasanjo was very, very bold about it. He came to power. Things were as rough as it is today. Obasanjo did not shy away from calling the Abacha cronies to come and at least negotiate and bring back some of the things they did. Nigerians will not believe that we are seriously committed to reforms when those who carted away our monies are still walking around prancing about free. We need to ask questions. Now, to stop the bleeding, beyond what Yemi Cardoso has done, I feel sorry for him. I still repeat, the problem he's grappling is just 10%. 90% are on the physical side. How do we stop the use of dollar cash in Nigeria? I expect President Tinubu to send an executive bill to the National Assembly. Naira is our local currency.
Yes.
We don't need to be seeing dollar being thrown about left and right. A law should be passed. Nobody should be seen with anything more than $1,000 cash. Once you're coming into Nigeria, either by your cash or your transfer, as you're coming with your dollar, negotiate whatever rate. It's an open market. Pay your dollar into the account and take Naira. And again, nobody should be allowed to move dollars out of Nigeria except through documentary letter of credit from M's and from A's. If you legitimately made your dollar, you want to go and buy a house in Maryland, fill forms, document it, register it through CBN so that we can see what happened. What basically happened in Nigeria was that most of the monies that left Nigeria did not go through the CBN window. Commercial banks are also part of it. Yes. And that is why Yemi Cardoso is now singing there is going to be stringent regulation. But for the regulation to be effective, there must be legislation backing it up. Let there be an executive bill. Nobody should transact anything more than $1,000 cash. If you have your dollar, go and pay it to your dollar account. If you want to collect school fees in dollar, let there be a transfer so that EFCC can be able to track it and know what you're doing with it. If we do this and then put in place this restructured security architecture, we are very much aware. Despite wasting $27 billion in security expenses, when Buhari became president, we had insecurity only in the Northeast and the North Central. My heart bled yesterday when I was going through the social media. I saw a man in Katsina State, in Wura local government, who lost all his families to bandits, who even destroyed the health center. And here was the state that had a commander-in-chief for 8 years, squandered $27 billion, and ended up sharing security across the 6 regions of Nigeria. The current government must take urgent steps. It's a matter of Marshall Plan to devolve security. If an Amatokun is empowered to have AK-47, to have armored personnel carrier, and to be properly equipped like the bandits who go about with RPGs, there's no inch of the Southwest that will be invaded by bandits. There is no traditional ruler that will be beheaded. We need to tackle the physical side. Maybe doing a lot. But the program he has put in place is going to distort a lot of things in manufacturing sector.
All right, let me hold your thoughts.
People who are in the market are going to...
Let me hold your thoughts for now. We need to go on a very quick break. When we come back, we'll have more discussions on this very issue. Do stay with us on Journalist Hangout.
The Inspector General of Police has met with senior officers to review the state of security.
We are continuing our coverage of the arrest of Godwin Emefiele.
The Senate has summoned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to properly brief the Senate regarding the state of the economy.
President Bola Tinubu has announced the total removal of fuel subsidy.
The first subsidy is gone. What I will never take is threat.
Let's now bring you more development from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, where an explosion has taken place. Tell us about this incident.
TVC News. First with breaking news.
All right, you're still on to Journalist Hangout, and we still have online economist Nnameka Obiariri giving his perspective on this issue with regards to the MPC committee meeting just held a few hours ago by the CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso. You're back online, Mr. Okay, BKO has a perspective to share on this. Go ahead.
Dr. Obiariri, I want you to talk to us about this Binance Nigeria that Dr. Emeka Doso claimed about $26 billion came in through them without the government being able to even validate the source of such money. Walk us through the extent of speculation, the extent of sabotage that this Binance Nigeria and others are doing, especially to our currency.
I think the Binance is one of the crypto platforms and crypto exchanges. I wish to disagree a bit that Binance contributed to where we are today. You know, I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that just like any crypto exchange, Binance sets their own rates within their system. But you know, the argument has always been, oh, the BTCs, they wake up in the morning and they go to Binance, they check the rates, and then they will take their rates. The BTCs are actually intermediaries between those who are seeking for dollar and those who are selling dollar. And these BTCs do not have dollar unless it is given to them. They do not export goods to earn dollar. If the dollar demand in Nigeria are being certified through the official window, nobody will go to the BTCs. Even if Binance let them set up their exchange rates to be 2,000. As long as the CBN is able to meet up the supply side of the dollar, they are wasting their time. Of course, you saw what Yemi Cardoso is already doing. As of today, the exchange rate has crashed to about 1,460, up from a high of 1,800 4 days ago. Of course, like I said, these are just temporary measures. If we don't fix the physical side, after this temporary loss, it will go up again. And if you look at Binance, over the last 1 year, all the crypto exchanges, even beyond Binance, total transaction that passed through those exchanges is estimated to be about 34 trillion naira. When you convert it to dollars, it's actually more than 26, about 57 billion dollars. But if you also look at the transactions that passed through the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, it's about 600,000 trillion, which is far higher than what went through the Binance exchange. Like I said, people that go to those exchanges, it's not as if they go there, they move dollar to those exchanges. They use naira to buy crypto coins. It may be repos, it may be a USDT, it may be any other coin that they want to buy. If we fix the supply side of the dollar, whatever is happening in the crypto exchange market will not affect our market. And that is the truth. If you even look at the crypto market side, the South African market is far bigger than that of Nigeria. Yet it does not affect their local currency. Because if you look at it, in 2022, South Africa exported $126 billion worth of goods and services. They only imported 97, so they had excess. Now, what we should be putting ourselves with in Nigeria is how do we shore up the supply side and stop the criminal demand for the dollar? You know, there is this dangerous thing we are doing, focusing every time on the federal government of Nigeria. As of today, even assuming Yemi Cardoso's magic wand works, and we squeeze liquidity from the market, which is actually hurting manufacturers in the reasons, because anybody going to the market to go and borrow money now from a bank must collect money at 35% interest rates, which is very, very high for manufacturers and those engaged in honest enterprise. Basically, what we should be doing is how do we stop the 60% criminal demand for the dollar, which is why he has been on the fact that he's going to work closely with the central, with the EFCC, because most of these governors, most of these people in our 1,300 MTAs, go and watch the trajectory. Once they collect FAC, collect JAC, collect IGR, they go after the dollar. And when they go after this dollar, the next thing is either they are hiding it in their basement or they are trying to find ways of moving it out of Nigeria without going through the official route of from M and from A. So to help Yemi Cardoso, that is where President Tinubu comes in. EFCC cannot tackle the governor because most of them have immunity. They can only go after their agents. But how do you stop them? Pass a law. Ban use of dollar cash in Nigeria.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody, if you are seen with anything more than $1,000 cash, 2 years imprisonment without option of fine.
Yes.
And then anybody who wants to move dollar out of this country must steal from M or from A. Any bank that flouts it and transfer dollar out of Nigeria without going through those formal route will be removed immediately and sanctioned. The regulation is trying to put in place must be backed with physical laws and regime that will support him. I know it is going to be very hard for a politician because most of them still need cash for their bribery and corruption. But to help Yemi Kadoso and to help the EFCC, we need to put in place this. And if you do this, ramp up oil output, increase security. I give you an example. To fix the insecurity is no brainer. If you empower Amatokun, arm them sophisticatedly the way the bandits are armed, and they get every community in the southwest, do the same thing in the southeast. Security is indigenous. There is no bandit that can enter any inch of the land in the southwest, talk less of beheading an Oba or a traditional black. We know what to do. Tinubu promised us national conference when he was governor. He promised us state police. Beyond even state police that will take time, let us empower the local community architecture we have now. If we do this, farmers will go back to farm. There will be productivity. Most of the things we import will produce here, and Naira will stabilize over time.
And that's a fine place to live with. Nnameka Obiari, we will appreciate your insights on this very discussion this evening. Well, that's where we leave this discussion for now. Let's quickly move on to our next issue of attention, where Nigerians desire one political ideology, and that is good governance. Now, the decision of the federal government to implement the Stephen Oronsaye report has sparked conversations across the country, while many experts have hailed this brave move by the President, Bola Tinubu, to cut the cost of governance. Others are sounding a note of caution. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections, Peter Obi, has applauded the decision of the federal government to implement the report. But a retired director from Kwara State Civil Service and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, Abdullahi Ibrahim, called for setting up of an implementation technical committee for the execution of the Oronsaye report. Well, let's hear from the Special Advisor to the President on Policy Coordination, Hadiza Bala, on the matter.
Agencies that are required to be merged, I'll take it. National Agency for Control of AIDS, HIV/AIDS, NACA, to be merged with the Center for Disease Control in the Federal Ministry of Health. National Emergency Management Agency to be merged with the National Commission for Refugee Migration and Internally Displaced Persons. The Directorate of Technical Cooperation in Africa to be merged with the Directorate of Technical Aid and to function as a department in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission to be merged with Bureau for Public Enterprises. Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission to be merged with Nigerian Export Promotion Council. National Agency for Science and Technology and Science and Engineering Infrastructure to be merged with National Center for Agriculture Mechanization and the Project Development Institute. The National Biotechnology Development Agency to be merged with the National Center for Genetic Resource and Biotechnology. The National Institute for Leather Science Technology to be merged with the National Institute for Chemical Technology. The Nomadic Education Commission to be merged with the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult Education and Non-Formal Education. The Federal Radio Corporation to be merged with the Voice of Nigeria. The National Commission for Museum and Monuments to be merged with the National Gallery of Arts. The National Theatre to be merged with National Troupe of Nigeria. The National Meteorological Development Center to be merged with the National Meteorological Training Institute. The Nigerian Army University, BU, to be merged with the Nigerian Defense Academy to function as a faculty within the Nigerian Defense Academy. Air Force Institute of Technology, also to be merged with the Nigerian Defense Academy to function as a faculty of Nigerian Defense Academy.
Hadiza Bala Usman speaking there. BKO, what do you make of this outcome by the presidency to implement the Oronsaye report? Although we discussed this yesterday, but first off, let's get your perspective on the direction taken so far.
I think that it is clear that the government knows what it's doing. You know, yesterday I said, look, this is not, it's no longer a plan. This is already being executed. And Hadiza Bala Usman, who is the special advisor to the president on policy coordination, has already told us the agencies that will be merged. You know, so government is proceeding with the plan already. So it's not a case of, oh, this is a reform, they are planning it, we are waiting, it may not come to pass. People who have this attitude of not believing that anything will come to pass until they've seen it. Sometimes I wonder what they stand to gain by such behavior, because it is clear now that they made up their minds. So it's not a question of, oh, this thing will happen sometime in the past. It is already happening. And an idea that is good enough will attract support, bipartisan support. I'm not surprised that Peter Obi has applauded the president for making this move, because it's the right thing to do. It's the right. I would have been shocked if he said, no, this is just sophistry, this makes no sense. No, he won't say that. He's not an illogical person. He is, Peter Obi is saying, look, this thing was even contained in my manifesto. I would have done it, because it's the best way
to cut the cost
the cost of governance. What we pay by way of salaries to public servants, a lot of them redundant, is a lot of money. We've got to fix the bureaucracy, the federal bureaucracy. We've got to fix it. People setting up commissions, agencies that are meaningless, that are not needed. You can see now agencies of government doing the same thing, functions overlapping. We don't need that. A country that has not got tremendous resources shouldn't be doing that. Let's have these agencies streamlined, these departments of government, ministries streamlined, so that at the end of the day we can have a nimble bureaucracy, one that is very responsive, one that is very efficient. That is the goal. It is a thing of joy to me that the same Baba Oronsaye that had been called names, lied against, called a thief for no reason, in the end, before he goes to meet his maker, at least he can see that the work of his hand has not gone to waste. So this is what we are seeing. This government will implement it. Whether it will lead to loss of jobs, I don't know. I don't know. Because what is important is, let's not have agencies, commissions doing the same thing. We don't need that. And let's have a civil service where you do not need 12 drivers in an office where you have only 2 functional cars. Let's not have that. Indeed. None of us will have a father who has a business that needs to be run properly and will fold his arms and watch before his eyes the business being run aground because of this sort of inefficiencies. We need, the president needs to stay the course, and I'm happy he has some people around him, stubborn people who are focused. Once they've made up their minds about something, you can't sway them. One of them is that woman that you saw. Adisa Bala Usman has that track record. The president rightfully chose her for the job that she's been given. And I'm sure that they will see this through, and we will happy. Nigeria will be better again. It gives me hope when I see some good things happening. Look at what Ned Nwoko said the other day. More and more Nigerians now are seeing that, look, the steps being taken by the president, however painful they are needed. So what they are now doing is they are suggesting, okay, this is how you can succeed. This is what you need to do. Ned Nwoko said, let us ban the naira, the dollar. Let's ban the dollar. It's the same thing that Dr. Buhari just said today. Why do we need to put ourselves through this pain? The unusual hunger for the dollar in our country is unparalleled anywhere in the world. We need to address that nonsense. It has to stop.
Tunde, let me quickly get your perspective on this matter, because there's another issue that the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, cited, called for caution on the part of the government to exercise in terms of implementing this, so it doesn't more or less affect the civil servants? In this aspect, it could be loss of jobs, pushing many people into poverty line. But how do you think that can be implemented so that such issues doesn't arise?
I think when I read that report, you see, the only thing that came to my mind was that perhaps he was thinking, I don't know how old he was in 1975 when Mutameme took over and he did a rejig of the Federal Civil Service. We lost a lot of brilliant people. So the only thing that can be done is that the president should set up a committee to identify all those people with relevant skills.
Yes. Right.
In all the agencies that are to be merged, and warehouse them in a particular way that their expertise can still be useful anywhere they are taking. You should not just dismiss them with the wave of the hand. They are good people in good areas that have been made redundant because either of politics or because the people that merged those agencies, they were not looking at Nigeria as a country. And I think for the very first time in the history of this country, I am happy that we are having people in government that are listening to the people, that are being realistic. This is not politics. We are not talking about politics. We are talking about reality. Because the reality of the situation in Nigeria is that Nigeria today cannot afford the kind of civil service that we have. That we have 60% of them are not doing anything. When you have an agency for Islamic education, agency for Christian education, when you recruit people into the National Space Mission, and you recruit people that has that read Islamic studies or Christian religious studies, what do they want to do in the space agency? It's not what they do there. So let us get our acts right. Let the president set up a committee that will identify expertise in all the 161 to be merged and assemble them together and use them appropriately instead of just dismissing them. I think I borrowed that idea so that the mistake of 1975, when the military government just sacked a lot of people that are still relevant to Nigeria, will not reoccur. I think it is relevant, and I think they can do that. It's not difficult to do. Assemble their CV. Look at where they are coming from. Let the committee, about 20 people, let them go around all the work.
And what about the implementation at state level?
I think
not state level.
It's not. Most of these agencies are at the federal level, and I think it behoves on the state governments too. We have 36 state governments in Nigeria. Let them be realistic about the kind of civil service. There's no way a state like Niger State should have the same number of civil service that your state has or Lagos has. We have to be realistic, and they don't also have to take the same salary. Let the president also go a step further by making sure that there is an enabling law from the National Assembly to back most of these actions, so that it will not be seen as if it's being punitive. Because some people begin to read politics into it that 90% of those people are sacked, they are from a particular part of the country. I think we are on a mission to rescue Nigeria. Like I just noted now, I just pity the president because he has a hope, he has an agenda.
I'm sure he didn't know it was
the president never knew that his hope has been compromised before he took power.
Yes.
By the stealing that has been done, by the oil that has been stored in. I always tell people that Nigeria has been compromised several times over. Some people sat down somewhere and they were in government for 8 years. The only thing they were thinking of to steal money, to steal Nigerian banks. And the president, like I said,
stealing and buying private jets.
I call on the members of the National Assembly to do the needful. You don't have to wait for the president. Let there be somebody who is patriotic from any part of Nigeria to sponsor a private member's bill to ban the use of dollar in Nigeria. Except it is, if you are going for medical checkup overseas, that is verified by a certified doctor in any of the teaching hospitals. If you are going for medical trip, the money should be loaded into your card. They should not give you the money.
Don't just do transactions.
Don't do transactions. The money should be loaded into your ATM card and go to America.
Do transaction with
treatment. So let somebody in the National Assembly sponsor a bill to ban the use of dollar in Nigeria. We don't need it.
Absolutely.
I hope one of them will be patriotic enough to do that. But it will be difficult.
Yeah, I would like to thank my
From their ranks, it will be difficult.
Yes, yes.
Let me thank my fellow journalists in the house. BKO, thank you so much for your insights shared with us on Journalist Hangout, as well Tunde Abaton. Thank you so much for your insights on the program. Well, that's it on the program this evening. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of it. You can also watch a repeat broadcast tonight at 11. Join us again on Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Mokwariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Today, there are many complex, boring, expensive, and useless exercise machines in the market. Or you pay over 400,000 naira a year for gym membership and never go. ShopX TV is proud to introduce Total Crunch Evolution, the compact, versatile fitness solution that is perfect for you. With Total Crunch, you get a complete fitness workout in one machine. Say goodbye to ineffective and complicated exercise machines. Now, you have the power to transform your fitness journey and get the body you have always wanted right in the comfort of your own home. Total Crunch is the efficient and effective way to build muscle, tone and tighten your legs, shape your back and pectorals, while strengthening your core and defining your abs. Now that's totally effective to get the body you want. With Total Crunch, your whole body works out at the same time. Only Total Crunch can put your whole body in motion as you burn calories and lose weight. Just one fitness routine a week will achieve serious results in 4 weeks.
Total Crunch Evolution has enhanced the way I work out and the results I achieve. It's not just a fitness equipment, it's a life changer. This versatile, time-saving machine is perfect for anyone looking to lose weight or stay in shape. Trust me, this is a game changer you've been waiting for.
With my busy schedule, finding time to work out and stay in shape has always been a challenge until I discovered the Total Crunch Evolution. It's a lifesaver.
Traditional exercise equipment is large, complex, takes up so much space in your home, and you could be paying up to 400,000 naira for annual gym fees. Get the Total Crunch Evolution, the 2-in-1 fitness solution to save the cost and transform your body from the convenience of your home. Similar equipment costs 300,000 naira, but you can get the Total Crunch Evolution for not 300,000 naira, not even 200,000 naira. Order right now and get your Total Crunch Evolution for just 179,950 naira only. And that's not all. You can get our Total Crunch Evolution in 2 easy payments of 89,975 naira. That's right. Pay twice to get your Total Crunch. And remember, if you order now, you get the Total Crunch Evolution delivered to you for free anywhere you are in Nigeria. And it comes with a ShopX 30-day money-back guarantee. Call the number on your screen now or scan the code to place your order now. But hurry, limited stock available. The proceeding is a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
Every second, every minute, every hour, and every day, time doesn't just tick away. It's a countdown to political decisions that shape our world.
This country must move.
Imagine the impact these decisions have on our lives. Some are consequential, others may leave us intrigued or baffled.
You will have no better friend and partner than Nigeria.
Step in and feel the frenzy like never before. Join me every weekday for an hour of fact-finding interviews where questions cut to the core.
What does Tinubu have that other 17 candidates do not have?
I will dig in to get to the heart of issues, from local politics to global insight. Join me as I unearth the power plays, jaw-dropping revelations and the unfiltered truth. This isn't just politics, it's unraveling the stories that matter. Brace yourself for Politics Tonight every weekday at 8 p.m, where every decision echoes along the corridors of our lives. Politics Tonight, only on TVC News.
Hello everyone, you're watching Beyond 100 Days with Nifemi Oguntoye. Well, it seems that some major telcos are going through some downtime rather. You know, someone jokingly said on social media that telcos are contributing their quotas to frustrate many Nigerians. We're following that story very closely to find out why people can make calls and send messages as at this time. But you can join the conversation if you can online on X using the hashtag Beyond 100 Days. Remember to tag at TVC News Engine. President Bola Tinubu has paid a condolence visit to the family of the late Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu. The president in company of the state governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, his deputy, and the former APC national chairman Bisi Akonde was in Owo, the hometown of the former governor, where he visited the widow, children, and some other relatives of the deceased. President Tinubu comforted Mrs. Becky Anyanwu Akeredolu, urging her to remain strong and find solace in the legacy of a late husband. Earlier, the president visited the Olowo of Owo, Oba Ajibade Gbadegesin Ogunye, where he was received by members of the Ondo State Council of Traditional Rulers. The Olowo of Owo thanked the president for his visit and promised the support of the traditional rulers for his administration. The president is scheduled to meet with the social, political, cultural group, Afenifere, and its leadership in Akure. And in Abuja, after years of clamor by Nigerians, President Tinubu has ordered the full implementation of the Stephen Oronsaye report. If the report is implemented, several agencies of government would be merged, scrapped, or relocated, and that's towards cutting the cost of governance. Ayodele Ozugbako examines the recommendations of this report.
We cannot continue to lag behind.
In 2012, the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan set up the Presidential Committee on the Rationalization and Restructuring of Federal Parastatals, Commissions, and Agencies. The committee was headed by a retired civil servant and former head of service of the Federation, Stephen Oronsaye.
And then there were statements that were subjective.
The committee recommended the scrapping and merging of 220 out of the 541 statutory and non-statutory agencies. The 800-page reports of the committee noted that the functions of most government parastatals and agencies are overlapping.
Of the original total contracts.
As such, the committee in its report submitted in 2012 recommended the reduction of statutory government agencies from 263 to 161.
Participate in the global ICT age.
As part of its recommendations, the committee suggested abolishment of 38 agencies, merger of 52, and reversion of 12 to departments in the ministries.
Why there should be large differentials in salary.
In 2014, the committee on the white paper of the Oronsaye report submitted its own report. 12 years after the recommendations were made, 2 review committees, the federal government is set to implement the recommendations. President Tinubu ordered the implementation of the Oronsaye report at the Federal Executive Council meeting on Monday, 26th of February. According to the plan, numerous agencies will be scrapped, others combined or restructured to cut rising costs of governance.
It's a report that have been in place for almost a decade, if not more than. And the motive is was to streamline government expenditure, most especially in the area of cost and carrying out the responsibilities of government parastatals and agencies. Going by what this government stands for, which is prudence, accountability, and transparency in governance, it is important that the president assess and probably set up a committee to look into how they can see a way of implementing, if not all the report, at least a good part of the report, so that Nigeria can move forward from there.
The government assured workers that that would not affect jobs. To demonstrate its resolve, the administration has considered a committee to implement the report within 12 weeks. The committee will be headed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. The National Assembly is expected to play a crucial role in the implementation of the report, as the legal framework or enabling acts of some of the agencies needs to be amended. Ayodele Ozugbako, TVC News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress says day 2 of the protest and economic hardship was suspended over alleged threat to life. NLC alleges all entrances to its headquarters were militarized on Wednesday morning, even after the protest was put on hold Joe Ajero differs from the Trade Union Congress, insisting less than 40% of workers have been paid wage awards. He says the compressed natural gas buses are in sight, while the 25,000